When I was young, I learned how to survive. I learned how to pay attention. I learned how to go without asking. I learned how to study the people around me and figure out what needed to happen next. At the time, I thought those were just things I had learned because life required them. But as I got older, I began to understand something. I wasn't inventing my own plan, I was implementing a plan that had already been taught to me, and much of that plan came from my father, James Williams. The blueprint, the making of a king. My father is a magnificent man. That does not mean he was a perfect man. He had a past, he had struggles. In his younger years, there were substance abuse issues. As a child, I also witnessed violence between him and my mother. That happened. I don't want to erase it. A man should also be judged by whether he learns, whether he grows, and what he eventually builds from the life he has been given. After my father separated from my mother and found his bride, Cynthia, who we call Pooh, I watched him grow into what I describe as a man's man. They built a life together. They created a home. They watched their family grow. They became grandparents surrounded by grandchildren. Their lifestyle today is damn near great. And when I look at my father now, I don't only see where he started, I see where he arrived. I see proof that a man can have a complicated past and still become somebody worthy of respect. A man cannot change what has already happened, but he can decide what kind of man he is going to be from this day forward. I don't know whether my father ever said those exact words to me, but that is what his life taught me. My father was not the first military man in our family. His father, my grandfather, was Ivory Jones, also known as Chief. Chief served in the army. My father followed that path and also served in the army. Military service was already part of the family story. It represented discipline, responsibility, service. A man leaving home because a mission required him somewhere else. When my turn came, I continued the military tradition, but I chose a different branch. At 18 years old, straight out of Detroit, I joined the United States Air Force. I went through basic training like every other airman. I learned to move when I was told to move, stand where I was told to stand, wear the uniform properly, function as part of something larger than myself. After basic training, I went to technical school and learned information technology. I didn't know it yet, but technology would become one of the tools I carried through nearly every stage of my adult life. My father had taught me the importance of working and surviving. The Air Force began teaching me how to turn those instincts into a profession. My first duty station was Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, a location associated with NORAD. I was young, I only had 2 stripes, but even then, people recognized leadership in me. I was selected to serve as a shift lead while more senior ranking people worked around me. That mattered to me. Being made the leader of anything means somebody trusts you. They trust your judgment, they trust your work, they trust you to take responsibility when something goes wrong. For a young airman from Detroit, that was a major accomplishment. I wasn't the highest ranking person in the room, but when the shift needed direction, somebody had decided I could provide it. Rank may tell people where you stand, your actions tell them whether they can follow you. Again, I cannot claim those were his exact words, but that was his blueprint. Work hard enough that people can depend on you, learn your job, and when responsibility comes, don't hide from it. From Peterson, I deployed to Saudi Arabia for the first time, and the strange truth is, I enjoyed deploying. Not every part of it, of course, but I understood the rhythm. There was a mission, there was a team, there was a problem that needed to be solved. You packed what you needed, went where you were sent, adapted to your surroundings, and did the job. That first trip became part of a lifelong pattern. Over the years, my work would take me to Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Afghanistan, Qatar, Iraq, and Bahrain, some places more than once. Sometimes I wore a military uniform. Later, I did much of the same work wearing a General Dynamics shirt as a civilian contractor. Different clothing, same instinct, deploy, assess the situation, build what is missing, keep the mission moving. The little boy who had learned how to adapt had grown into a man who could be sent almost anywhere. After Saudi Arabia, I was stationed at Osan Air Base in Korea. That is where I met and fell in love with my first wife, Jamal Williams. Debbie was military too. At the time, she outranked me by 1 stripe. We started as friends, we were young, living the military life. We worked, spent time with other military people, went clubbing, and enjoyed being young adults far away from home. Eventually, we decided to become serious. That relationship gave me my first opportunity to become a husband, and not long afterward, it gave me my first opportunity to become become a father. I was 23 when Debbie told me she was pregnant. My mind immediately went into action. I thought, we have to buy a house. That was how I understood responsibility. A child was coming, so her father needed to prepare a place for her. We had a 4-bedroom house built. We prepared the nursery. And before my daughter arrived, my father came down and helped me build the crib and put the nursery together. That moment means more to me now than I probably understood at the time. There were 3 generations in that room, even before my daughter was born. My father, me, and the child we were preparing to welcome. He was helping me become a father, not through a speech, not through a lecture, through work, through presence, through helping his son build a safe place for his granddaughter to sleep. Make sure it's steady, she's going to depend on this. That crib was more than furniture. It represented what I had been trying to do my whole life. Build something steady, build something safe, build something another person could depend on. We called my daughter JJ. JJ became the world to me. She still is, even though today she may not like her father very much. But when she was born, none of the future complications existed yet. Later, Debbie and I had our son, Jason. Now, we had our little family. A husband, a wife, a daughter, a son, a 4-bedroom home. From the outside, it looked like I had completed the plan. But building a house and building a lasting home are not always the same thing. Over time, tension entered the marriage. Debbie had a strong connection to her family and wanted me to become deeply included with them. From my perspective, she did not always show that same openness toward mine. That created tension. At the time, I was still trying to solve life the way I had been trained to solve a mission: work harder, provide more, remain dependable, keep moving. But marriage cannot be repaired through duty alone. You can build a communications network, you can build an airbase, you can build a 4-bedroom house, but a home also requires 2 people to feel that they belong inside it. After Korea, we were stationed at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, the 3rd Herd. The mission was to arrive with limited resources and establish the systems needed to help build an operational airbase. I received tactical training, weapons training, escape and evasion training, training in how to survive and continue working under difficult conditions. The question was, can you still do your job when the environment is uncomfortable, confusing, dangerous, or incomplete? Can you walk into a place where almost nothing exists and create order? That became the way I approached life. Eventually, I decided to leave active duty. We relocated from Oklahoma to Illinois, and I accepted a contracting position at Scott Air Force Base. To me, that was my transition into what I considered a big boy job. I was simply doing it in civilian clothes. As part of my conditional release from active duty, I also joined the Air National Guard. So, while working full-time as a civilian contractor for a government agency, I served part-time with the 126th Air Refueling Wing. Debbie also became a member of the 126th. Once again, our military lives and our family lives occupied the same space. When I look back, I see the pattern more clearly. My grandfather, Ivory Chief Jones, served. My father, James Williams, served. Then I joined the Air Force at 18 and continued the military tradition in my own way. I learned technology, I became a leader, I deployed, I became a husband and a father. When my daughter was coming, I built a house. When her nursery needed to be prepared, my father stood beside me and helped build her crib. At the time, I believed I was simply doing what a man was supposed to do. Now I understand where much of that belief came from. Dad, I know your life has not been perfect. Mine hasn't either. There are parts of our stories that are difficult to discuss, but I want to give you credit for what you placed inside me. You taught me to work. You taught me to prepare. You taught me that when people depend on you, you get up and handle your responsibilities. And you showed me that a man's worst chapter does not have to be his final chapter. I was following the blueprint. Then take what I gave you and build it better. That is what every generation is supposed to do. Honor what was good, tell the truth about what caused pain, and build the next version better. This is the story of James Williams, but it is also the story of the man his son was becoming. The child who learned to survive had become an airman. The airman had become a leader, and the leader was beginning to understand that one day he would be expected to build something larger than himself. I just didn't know yet what that something would be. The journey continues. Next episode, The Kingsman rises. Legacy is not what you leave, but who you become.